A good evening to you. I am Max Porter. And by day I am the writer, editor, lore keeper, board game designer, and stream host at City State Entertainment. A video game company working on an MMORPG. But this evening, as many evenings, I am Super Commoner the Dungeon Master, making up cool stuff that will hopefully amuse my players and anyone who drops by the stream. So for anyone who watches this later and wants to know what was going on, basically two things. We are heading into a period of downtime for the players, for the player characters. That isn't necessarily, that isn't necessarily the case depending on what they do, but that's certainly what I expect and what I'm planning for. With the caveat that I have a bunch of plot events, campaign events I can kind of drop in at will if I decide that I need to. If I decide it's getting too boring. Let's zoom in here so that hopefully that shows up on screen. Alright, so what am I doing to... so first of all, why downtime? Why plan for downtime? And secondly, how do we make that interesting? Because certainly the assumption is, isn't the game fun? Isn't the game more fun when it's just, isn't the most fun to be had when it's just a constant riot of action and adventure and crazy stuff happening? And certainly those are moments that are possibly some of the most memorable. Combat and action and crazy stuff happening. But I think it's very important in any story, including including in role-playing game campaign, to have times where things are a little quieter, kind of reestablishing in this case the baseline, so that things can build up again from there. Because if everything is at 100 out of 100, 1,000 decibels of pitch at all times, it starts to lose its impact, and very quickly. And also it just gets kind of stressful, I think. And this is a lesson I'm trying to learn for myself. I think that in the past, including the recent past, I have tended to err on the side of making things super exciting all the time, which necessarily means that, because I try to make it dramatic, that tension is always rising, conflict is always rising. Which also means that the game is always getting harder, and people feel like, and the players start to feel like they don't have the chance to catch their breath. Even if they are succeeding, it's at what cost? It's even if they are succeeding, they feel like they're failing. I think that's the key. If everything is all crazy all the time, the players start to feel like they're always failing. Instead of, succeeding and failing and building up to a dramatic conclusion. So, those are some of the reasons, in no particular order or organization, for why I think downtime is necessary. Another reason, of course, is that to help the in-game calendar catch up with the real-world calendar at least a little bit, because it's taken us 6 months of real time to play 2 weeks of the campaign, in which the players have leveled up 3 times, and a whole lot has happened. And that just always feels so weird to me. So I'm building some downtime into this campaign. I'm going to make sure that it's a thing, and we're going to try it out. Alright, so we're now on to part 2. How do we make it fun? Okay, so let's write this down. The problem, I will write just downtime rules. Alright. The problem, it can seem boring, like... can seem boring. Feels as though the story's not moving forward, which it may not be. What else? Players can feel like they don't know what they can do, since it's not covered as a combat ability. Alright. So what's the solution? The solution is, at least the solution I'm trying out, the solution is town actions. So what are town actions? These are chunks of time. These are specific. That's the key word. These are specific things the characters can accomplish in downtime. Kind of like a worker placement board game. Where they place themselves on the town map, right? We've got the town map here, downtown Arkney, with this guy's face sort of permanently plastered there, because he is the key to the mystery story that's taking place in the background here. I don't want the mystery story to become something that takes over the downtime completely, but it's something that the players can kind of look into, and to that end, I'm not going to artificially raise the tension. I'll let the players raise the tension on the mystery story if they want to. But I'm not going to do it as an outside force until I deem it is time. And I'm pretty sure that I will know. Kind of like a worker placement board game where they place themselves on a location and can do something in the nebulous span of downtime. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain this to the players next game. So we have a little thing we have to take care of over here at the abandoned cabin, right? But then after that, they're going to rest and reset, and things will kind of... The immediate problem, which is that one of the player characters was cursed, and he's been trying to murder somebody in town, which is a very dramatic event if you want to go back and watch the last session's video. I think it was very fun and well worth a look-see. Maybe the previous video as well, talking about the curse. Or the previous session, that is. Specific things. So I'm going to explain to the players, we're starting a period of downtime. You can do various things. Xanathar's Guide to Everything has rules for downtime. I'm going to utilize these to a certain extent, but with my own twist. Because I want to kind of use this downtime town actions idea. I think part of the other problem, actually that's the other problem with downtime rules. Also, it can feel very outside of the game, very theoretical, and not a visceral storytelling, and not visceral storytelling. It can take you out of the game. So the idea, I think, that town actions will help with that, because the act of placing yourself, I'll be like, all right, I'm going to the Steel Arms, which is the blacksmith, and I'm going to browse the inventory, right? And then you can go, all right, and then I go back to the tavern. It's like, those are the various town actions you can do, and I think that will help the players engage with it when they have something to move around, something to interact with. That's why I've always insisted, even though I wasn't necessarily having downtime up to this point, that's why I've always insisted that the players move themselves around the town to kind of get them used to that concept. But I think it would also work even if I'd never introduced it before. Okay. So, explain to the players that we are entering a period of downtime before they go off on their next adventure, unless they want to leave immediately. Discourage this with exhaustion. So I've kind of wanted a like a stress mechanic in D&D, but that would be kind of unheroic and not necessarily fit the theme, and it also would like be attacking something on. So what we already have in the game are the exhaustion mechanics, which I've utilized before. I think it would be appropriate if the players are like, no, like tomorrow, we like do a couple things in town and they take 5 minutes and then we leave to go kill monsters. I'm actually going to discourage that, because even though that is maybe them trying to think that they want to do more exciting stuff, I think that we'll really lose out on a lot of things they can engage with if they immediately rush out of town. I don't think they will, really. Because I think they're interested in the mystery story, and in kind of figuring out what's going on here in Arkney. But I'm just making myself a note, just in case they surprise me by saying, screw this, town is boring, let's go kill monsters. Okay, so that's my note. Explain to the players downtime. During this downtime, they can take daily town actions Should I say daily or weekly? So this is where I have to decide. I think daily because it can be like, we take the day and we go shopping, right? And I'm getting to how we're going to make shopping interesting. The problem with daily is that certain things will take weeks. And it would be pretty dull to be like, well, and then the next day I do the same thing. So I can take daily town actions or weekly town actions, depending on their needs and how long the downtime lasts. It will be a 2 or 3 week downtime, most likely. And we will play out any scenes that require it, but we won't need to keep track of time on a minute by minute basis. So, give examples. The things, I don't want that to be a header. Alright, I'll fix that later. The things you can, this is bothering me. The things you can do with downtime include, but are not limited to, okay, shopping, going on a shopping trip, going to a location to investigate or chat up an NPC. Training for training one of your Seals of Power, which is a mechanic I introduced in this campaign. Oh. Etc. Here we go. So I'm going to add more downtime activities from Xanathar's Guide to everything. But right now I will first go into how I'm making shopping interesting. So, here's what I've done. First of all, I've found there are lots of these online. I found a shop catalog, a D&D shop catalog that somebody put together. So, just like a bunch of stuff that you might find in a store, and it's all pulled out of the player's handbook, so I don't have to look it up myself, and nicely organized. And that's just a handy link to have. Anytime, really. Secondly, the idea is to keep everyone amused with a bit of lighthearted role-playing. So, like they do on Critical Role, which I suppose is starting this evening in about half an hour. Having a shopkeeper that's interesting, the funny accent, has some unusual quirk, not just cool stuff in the store, but making that interaction without it being dramatic, just fun. And I know that the players are going to go clothing shopping. So, I wanted to make that fun. So here's what I did. I've got 2 sections of the clothing store, right? I put a clothing store in the town because I wanted this town to feel like a medieval town where, like, the clothes make the man kind of idea. So the players, I keep describing how they stand out, quite badly because they're ill-dressed and dirty from travel and all that good stuff. So I know that some of them are going to go clothing shopping. The rest of them may think that they don't care about their appearance, and that's fine. I'm not going to punish them for that, but I'm not going to give them any advantage for it either. At least I'm not going to go out of my way to punish them for it. If it's in my way, then maybe. So I've got a bunch of things here in the clothing store. And I'm using this as an example because to me, this is like the ultimate like boring shopping trip, right? Like a couple of the characters go off to shop for clothes. And they get real into it, and everybody else is bored, or maybe they don't even get into it, and it's just like, there's these sort of vague descriptions. So I want to make it fun for them and entertaining for everybody else. But I've got the player's handbook. I think this is 3.5 descriptions of things, just so that I have them if the players ask specifically about something that's in the player's handbook, I have that handy. But then here's the fun part. Because I know they're going to look at the fine clothing, right? A couple of the ladies are particularly interested, I think, in the clothing options. And certainly the shopkeep, who I'm about to go into, is going to try and direct them toward it. So, I don't know if that was clear. There's two elements, right? One is having a fun store owner or shopkeep or whatever, somebody fun to interact with, right? And I'm going to make it lighthearted, because this is downtime. This is town, not where we, get into combat all the time, but where we go shopping and do other downtime actions. So I've got a fun character. I think I'm going to do like a silly accent. Oh, aye, lassie. You're looking for a pretty dress to match that pretty face. Something totally goofy. I've got a character description here. I'm probably not going to pay any attention to this, because I have a character in mind. But just in case I need to know more background details about him, then I can get inspiration from this if I need it. So one part of it is the fun NPC to interact with, and the other is having fun stuff in the store. Right? There's not nothing worse, but it's one thing to have an interesting NPC, but when the player asks, what do I see in the store? And you say, oh, an array of, whatever, clothes of all shapes and sizes, their eyes already glazed over. And they'll go back and talk to the shopkeep, but they're not going to have fun shopping. So, I am not into clothes. I am not a fashion person. Perhaps that is obvious from my clothing, but nevertheless, I am totally okay with admitting that while I'd like to be fashionable, it doesn't interest me enough to put work into it. But I do want it to be fun for the players. So here's what I did. I went to Lane Bryant. Just Googled their website or whatever. I think I did it in an incognito window because I don't want to, get a bunch of ads for clothes for the rest of my life on Google. And I straight up copied their ad copy. Copied their copy. I copied their advertisement text for some random dresses on Lane Bryant. And I did this for just female clothing. I should do it for male clothing as well, but I feel like I can improvise that a little more easily. With some help, which I'll get into. So I copied that over, and then I changed it a bit to make it more medieval. And also, it's summer right now, so they have all their summer stuff, so I made it more wintry-ish. I think the players will get a kick out of this. The way I got the medieval, making it more medieval, is I just Googled medieval fashion. I found this interesting article, Medieval Europe, Clothing and Art. Learned about long, wide gowns with embroidered edges. I don't need to worry about this because I am just going to copy this and insert it into like lanebryant.com's. Now, why Lane Bryant? I think I heard my wife mention randomly one time that they are well known for their ad copy. And one thing that you should always do... Oh my gosh, that flashing. One thing you should always do is, if it's over the top, use it in D&D. Yes, there is a time and a place for subtlety in any campaign. But how do I put this? That is the dangerous choice. Normally, I think in any storytelling, in any story, in almost anything you do in your life, you assume that the dangerous thing is to be subtle. In D&D, it's you assume that the dangerous thing is to be over the top, and the safe thing is to be subtle most of the time. In D&D, it's the opposite. Going over the top tends to be the safer choice. And then learning how to pull back on that is the delicate balancing act. So I looked up some medieval fashion style, medieval clothing things. I've also got the Wikipedia link here. And that is so that I can click on this and quickly go there. Boom. If they ask me a question about some clothes, I can just pop this open, quickly look it up during the game, and improvise something on the spot. But I have all the text there ready to hand. So here, this is just taken from Lane Bryant. From winter strolls along the lake, I said like summer stroll, so I changed it to winter. From winter strolls along the lake to brunch with the girls, this long, wide green gown is the perfect match for all your weekend plans. I also made it a specific color. Bright embroidered yellow stripes and soft jersey knit and a ruffled high-low hem make it easy to pair back to fur-lined boots for a look that can go all day long. And I'll do this in some crazy accent, like, "Aye, lass, from winter strolls along the lake to brunch with the girls. This long, wide green gown is the perfect match for all your weekend plans." Yeah, he fluffs out his kilt, or whatever one does. Bright embroidered yellow stripes on soft jersey knit and a ruffled high-low hem make it easy to pair back to fur-lined boots for a look that can go all day long. And if that doesn't have them in stitches, then that doesn't make the players laugh. That was an intentional pun. If that doesn't have them in stitches, then with laughter, then I don't know what I'm doing. But I started having some fun with it. I made a bunch of these, and yeah, I've changed them from the ad copy text originally to make them more medieval and kind of switch them over to more of a wintry feel, because it's winter in game. In a red, and he'll just get really into it. And that's what I do. That's what I do with NPCs. Is I get really, really into them. And I think people, I think it gets people laughing, engaging with the NPC, if they can kind of laugh at how into it I am. And I'm okay with being laughed at. In the red, breathable poplin. Oh, this one, lass. In a red, breathable poplin with perfectly sun-faded flower embroidery. Oof. That's a tongue twister. This ruffled off-the-shoulder dress is the perfect way to take in every last ray of sunshine, yet has the stunning red fox fur trim to stay warm and fashionable at any occasion. Ruffled details at the neck of the matching fitted tunic and hem add an extra touch of feminine frill. And I'm hoping that they will, keep pushing this. I guess I doubt that they'll really need more than 5. But 5 is about the limit of how much time I wanted to spend on this. But yeah, just copying the advertisements on a clothing, fashion website, and then changing it up to kind of fit the world. And I'm pretty confident that the players are going to get a kick out of this when they do go shopping for clothes. Originally, this is called House of Haggis. I'm thinking of changing it to House of Haggles. The problem with that is then the players are going to be encouraged to haggle. And I'm not sure that's the most fun thing. it can be fun to haggle. But it can also be super duper time consuming. And I'm already, since I'm trying to make this interesting, it's going to take up more time. So I think I just talked myself out of changing the name. Call it House of Haggis. It doesn't need to make sense. Maybe this guy's name is Haggis. So that's how I make shopping interesting. Having a fun NPC. You know, I'm deliberately going silly with this guy. I think that is pretty safe. I was going to make him a little more important. But I just found out that the players who were the most interested in clothes shopping are both not going to be there next time. So I've come to my senses and decided not to make this guy a super critical character for next session. But let's finish up the examples of downtime list, right? So, in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, there are various parts of these example downtime activities. There's often like a check you make. There's random complications that can occur. And there's, you know, just the benefits you get. So buying magic items. I don't think that is going to be separate from going on a shopping trip. I want magic items to feel rare and special in this world. Or rather, I want them to feel quirky and unexpected. I'm not going for every magic item is this epic experience, because I feel like I want magic to be part of everyday life in the Wildlands. But man, it's hot in here. I want magic to be a part of everyday life, but I also want magic items to feel special. So I'm not going to make it generalized to where the player's like, okay, I want this specific magic item. I'm never going to allow, and I may not ever allow it again in another campaign, but certainly in this campaign, I'm not going to allow the players to be like, okay, I want a +2 longsword. Where can I buy that? That's not going to be a thing. Right, magic shops are actually curio shops, and you really never know what you're going to get. And in 5th edition, the rules are geared toward that. So going on a shopping trip, so if they want to find magic items, you know, I'll have them make a check or ask around, and they they can go to one of these stores and come across something crazy and random. Okay. Carousing is a default downtime activity for many characters. Between adventurers who doesn't want to relax with a few drinks and a group of friends at a tavern. Carousing covers a work week of fine food, strong drink, and socializing. So I think these are going to be weekly ones. I guess training one of your seals of power is a week. So we'll say workday actions, right? And work week actions. So I'll probably, let's see, maybe you declare your work week action first. Yeah. Declare your work week action first. Then we can get into work day actions. So the way you know, you're spending a week doing something, but anytime you spend a week doing something, you know, you're not spending every minute of every day of that week on that thing. So so another example would be, right, carousing. And I'll put myself a page number for Xanathar's Guide to Everything, which is page 127. Okay. Now, what can you do with carousing? I'm just going to give myself a couple of notes here. So there's so you choose the class: lower class carousing, middle class carousing, and upper class carousing. Complications. Don't think that in this game rolling for a random complication makes sense. Hey, it's the man with no screen name. Make shopping fun in D&D. There's a shoe store joke to be made here, but I'm too lazy to just do it. Oh wait, you did it. Welcome, the man with no screen name. I think I took that out of the title at some point because I was like, I don't know if this is going to be all about shopping. But maybe that was a good title. I don't know. Welcome. So, carousing. After a work week of carousing, a character stands to make contacts within the selected social class. I do like these complications. But they are way big. Like, one of them you end up married. which is like, let's just sidetrack the whole game to like deal with that. So I'm not really looking to do that, but make a charisma persuasion check using the carousing table. So use charisma check to make contacts. So for those of the players who don't know, friends who can help you. Training one of your seals of power, if they've unlocked that. One of the difficulties is that I was planning on unlocking a couple of more seals of power for various players in the next session, and two of the players that I was planning to do that for are not going to be there, so I'm just going to do one probably, but we'll see. Would talking shop on photoshopping merchant shops count as making the stream about shopping? I don't know, man with no screen name. Do you have any commentary on photoshopping merchant shops? That would be a cool bit of art to throw in here. I'm gonna walk into the smith. I do that a lot. Is I find some illustrations online. And I pop them into the game. I got Photoshop open. Start talking shop, buddy. Well, right now we're talking about carousing, which is what one does at a tavern, mostly. Carousing covers a work week of fine food, strong drink, and socializing. Can attempt to carouse among lower, middle, or upper class folk. I don't know, I probably won't go as high as 250 gold pieces. That's kind of nuts. In this town. As the guy on the other side of the counter, it's more grousing than carousing, depending on the mood of the customer. Oh yeah, do you work in a brewery or something like that, the man with no screen name? You do something like work in a tavern, right? Once a contact has helped or hindered a character, the character needs to carouse again to get back in the NPC's good graces. A contact provides help once, not help for life. Contact remains friendly, which can influence role-playing and how the characters interact with them, but doesn't come with a guarantee of help. Okay. A beer distributorship. Is that a bar? Or is that a thing? Like, it's like a distributorship thing. Beer distributor. The middleman between brewery and the retailers or restaurants that sell the final product to the end consumer. Interesting. It's like a car dealership, but for beer. So you offer test drives. Really love the complications in Xanathars, but it just doesn't work with this game. So I don't think I'm going to be applying that necessarily. Alright, so that's carousing. I don't think I'm going to mention crafting an item. Well, sure. I guess crafting. From brewing beer to magic potion. Gambling. Do I want to put this in the game? Yeah, I think gambling is fun. One frustrating thing is I accidentally deleted from this game the card pack. I don't know how I did that, but at some point I did. So I can't play a poker game with the players, which would be a lot more fun than rolling some dice in this case. PA's weird like that. Actually, yes and no. There's some strict guides on samples and stuff. Okay, I guess that makes sense. I'm not supposed to let people kind of do an end run around liquor laws, I assume. Pit fighting. Gambling is page 130 in Xanathars. I will mention it as a possibility. You make 3 checks, requires a work week plus a stake of at least 10 gold to a maximum of 1,000 gold or more as you see fit. Series of checks with a DC determined at random based on the quality of the competition the character runs into. Part of the risk of gambling is one never knows who might end up sitting across the table. 3 checks: Wisdom, Insight, Charisma Deception, and Charisma Intimidation. If the character has proficiency with an appropriate gaming set, that tool proficiency can replace the relevant skill in any of the checks. The DC for each of the checks is 5 plus 2d10. Generate a separate DC for each one. That seems unnecessarily complicated. I like the complications of gambling. A local crime boss insists you start frequenting the boss's gambling parlor and no others. It's interesting. So the results are based on successes. Excellent. Gambling. Bet money. And win money. Over 1 week. I think in Arcany they don't really have a pit fight. They might have wrestling though. You were going to suggest wrestling? Yeah, I think the town guard, the Arkan guard, might host some, wrestling matches, like in off hours, out behind some of the guard stations, etc. Blow off some steam, and practice. Strange minds think alike. There's some strict guides and samples. That in the store doesn't have a license to serve open containers. Makes sense. Wrestling. Ship fighting. What page is this on? 131. The Arkan Guard hosts small matches to let off steam and practice in off hours. Religious service. Another 1 week work week of time. What are the benefits you get? You earn a favor. I love that. A promise of future assistance from a representative of the temple. Bolster community. Earn favors from the temple. Research. Pretty self-explanatory. Where we have the famous library in this town. Research is going to be an advantage. I should say that. Learn pieces of lore. Get advantage with this famous with the famous Library of Ibu Gruger. Pay fee to access restricted section. The research complications, there are 6 of them, are funny. Number 1, you accidentally damage a rare book. 2, you offend a sage who demands an extravagant gift. 3, if you had known that book was cursed, you never would have opened it. 4, a sage becomes obsessed with convincing you of a number of strange theories about reality. 5, your actions cause you to be banned from a library until you make reparations. Or 6, you uncovered useful lore, but only by promising to complete a dangerous task in return. Scribing a scroll. I'm not even going to. Okay, training. Nope, 134. Maybe I should make a handout for the players. I should turn this into a thing that they can reference. Receiving training in a language or tool typically takes at least 10 work weeks. Oof. But this time is reduced by a number of work weeks equal to the player's, equal to the character's intelligence modifier. Training costs 25 gold pieces per work week. Learn a language or pick up proficiency with a tool. Learn a language or pick up proficiency with a tool or weapon. I'm going to include weapon in that. It's supposed to be based on your class. I don't care. Ten work weeks. What's this? Minus number of weeks equal to your int modifier. I love that roll. And then finally, you can work. Earn a wage, live a better, hopefully, lifestyle. Virginia has some similar regulations, I believe, but it wouldn't quote me on that. That's confusing. Yeah, in Virginia, we cannot... regarding open container. Yeah, you can't buy spirits. You can't buy hard liquor in Virginia except at a government-owned store. The ABCs, they're called. But you can get beer or wine almost anywhere. All right. I think that is plenty of examples. Add a handout. Downtime. Actions. Players. Sweet. Maybe I'll make this a little bit more legible on here. So, some players will want to engage with actually reading this, others will half listen to my description and then pick something randomly. And that's fine. They are not required to listen to engage with this system in order to have fun. ABCs are state stores north of the Mason-Dixon line up here. Right. Oddly, there's one about 500 yards from where I work. My boss shops there, and they shop where I work. Nice. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm referring to. Alright, well, I've already finished my smart town actions, making shopping interesting. Prep. So I am gonna move on. What else is on my to-do list here? Making a hill giant adventure. Oh yeah. This is gonna be a great hill. I think I'm gonna do a hill giant encounter here. On this gorgeous map. Definitely if the players head out to find some giants. This is where they will encounter them. I don't have the hill giant fastness all detailed out, which I really even though that would be fun to make, I probably should resist doing it because it might very well end up being wasted work. And I'm already got that problem. Okay, so I've got to work out Cordy Seffi's dream. I know what the mushroom voice is going to sound like. I decided that, and I cleared this with the player. The two circumstances where the mushrooms that grow out of her face start talking to her. Sounds like a mammoth task. Skyrim joke. Oh man. Random giants and mammoths were both super fun and super frustrating in Skyrim. Oh, edit Equitas dreams, send them somewhere. You know what? That is something I can actually do. That is something I can actually finally do. And trigger the dream. Okay. Where are the dreams? Dreams. Just trying to avoid turning each one of these into its own header. I have to figure out Corny Seffi's dream still. Equitas dreams of chanting acolytes of the shadow, mentioning drowned Lagrana. So I'm gonna be like, so I'm gonna save this dream. Because the player of Equitas, Equitas, the Tiefling Warlock, has had a lot of really fun interactions with his patron. It's been a long time coming, and the payoff was huge. I've saved that out as a separate video. Definitely worth watching. But essentially, he has gotten a lot of special one-on-one GM time. And I don't want to drop the dream in there until everybody else has had a chance. I think the payoff was great, and there's still more to come. At the start of next session, he's going to have a very dramatic scene where he gets his patron to remove the curse from his friend, for which he traded his soul. But the shadow is going to try and ensnare Bref the Barbarian as well. Not necessarily turning him into a warlock, but possibly making a trade to gain power thereby. So I'm saving this dream, so it's not urgent to fix it, but if the right moment arrives, I'm definitely going to of your own. I never go other than that one last time. So that is going to be a reference to the player's backstory. One of the things I want to do is always reference the characters' backstories as much as I can, so that they feel like I am paying attention to the stuff they're creating, and I want to encourage the players to create as much as possible. I think I wrote this before I made my villain mind map. Because this implies that the shadow is to blame for the drowning of Lagrana. Which is actually wrong. I think that I may have originally intended that. Sorry, I'm just reorganizing my folder here a bit. See, this is a mess. So I need to put everything in place that makes it a little easier for me to find my way around. And I can archive things too. Because I certainly don't want to accidentally use an old map. Don't ask me what that is. So, my villain mind map now, I don't think the shadow has anything to do with... Well, wait. Drowned Lagrana. I did connect it that way. But I've since changed my mind. because I decided that drowned Lagrana suffered a world-ending event, or a civilization-ending event, partially triggered by the cleansing rains. And that's the secret I'm going for. The Acolytes of the Shadow. Gonna summon some being. I've labeled that the Nightwalker, but I've been wondering if I should change that a little bit. So he's gonna dream. I wanted to have this sort of sonnet written up in preparation for when I trigger this dream. The Shadow. Who knows what darkness lurks in the hearts of men's minds? Yeah, I don't know if I can do the voice from that show. But I wouldn't be surprised if the player was referencing that on purpose. So I need to change this. I'm going to change my rhyme here a little bit. Wait a minute. From the rain, the cycle brought. Dead are the foolish folk we fought. Doesn't mention drowned Lagrana. Not sure what the acolytes have to do with drowned Lagrana, honestly. I wrote this originally, but I don't think it makes sense to me anymore. Unless... Unless we give a little clue. Chorobitha the Whisperer. Maybe she has influence over the acolytes of the shadow. I'm giving each one of these big bad guys their own kind of cult that they're connected to. Or at least this guy got one. I think what I need to do is mention the Whisperer. That is going to be the clue in this dream. Whisperer in water. Told us of the cycles cleansing rain. Drowned the grana, thou canst now feed. It doesn't make sense in that order. The Whisperer in water came, drowned the grana, thou canst now feed, and told us of the cycle's cleansing rain. Take us, fill us, the dark thy need. Maybe if this is parenthetical. That's pretty dense with clues.
The Whisperer in water came, of drowned the grana thou canst now feed, and told us of the cycle's cleansing rain. Take us, fill us, the dark thy need. Let us now delight your will. Come now, go now, we make the kill.
Should be fun.
The whisperer in water came for pain. Of drowned Lagrana thou canst now feed, and told us of the cycle's cleansing rain. Take us, fill us, the dark thy need.
I think that'll be pretty good. It's a little bit dense. I don't know if the players are going to be able to piece that together. It's a little hard for them to figure out what the heck any of that means. Yeah, I did the reverberation on purpose. Because they're chanting in like a cathedral area in the dream. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. At least it's accurate. Oh, no. See, I didn't send them to a specific location, did I? Except back to the compound. I don't know. I'm still happy with it. I'm gonna have to tell him where the compound is anyway. So, there's a reason to go back there. I think that's good enough. I'm pretty happy with it. And it's a nice little piece of... it's a nice little clue. Nice little piece of the puzzle. Oh, I need to develop the Swamps of Varankana. Lore for Cordy and Equitas. Cool. The Legend of Varankana. Swamp, where a god died. And a very strange mushroom grows once a century. Swamps ain't gonna have to marshal some streams for fleshing those out, Max. Good-ish pun, but see, swamps and marshes are actually different. Swamps, marshes, and bogs are different things. They are not synonymous. Which I care about. I don't know why I care so much, but I do. I do. So for this, I need my who, what, where, and how questions. So I got these questions from How to Be a Great GM YouTube channel, which I don't always agree with, but that guy is good at something that I'm not necessarily good at, which is being more of a storyteller than a writer. I think that helps when it comes to this kind of thing. having these questions in mind. So who was doing what? Who tried to stop them? How did they succeed? With what did they do it? Where did it happen? How did they die? Where's the next clue? Okay. This is why I like doing things all in one giant document. So I don't have to go back and forth, but I have all the editing power. The obscure was... Oh, someone was... Okay, Varankana. Was a... Prince of the... How long ago did this happen? Mighty warrior and clever spellcaster. Who wore a cape of forgotten thoughts. He set out to slay the obscure, one of the Dark Six, who not every pun is going to hit. Stolen the soul of what's her name gonna be? His lady love and a warlock. Great power. Actually, to obscure the gloom. Well, Lady Zavia is not quite that old. She's a lich. And she actually serves... maybe it's okay to have some... Yeah, she serves a different one. The Obscure... To do this, I'll need the grandest trap of all time. The swamp, the morass, would sink a god. Yeah, this has to be older. Ancient. We're talking like thousands of years. And these other characters are hundreds of years, so... This is so long ago that not even these characters' names may be accurate. To stop him, the Obscure loosed one of his greatest lieutenants. I need a bad guy name. Windross the Black. Knight of... Or, of the... Umbral Knights. Upon the world. Their battle was tremendous. Magics and weapon blows that broke the very earth upon which they stood. whole towns to sink, to fall into sinkholes and chasms. This created a swamp. But in the end, okay, it's not perfect. I'll fix it later. Deaths of armies. Trying to remember. There's a real historical figure from Sumerian poet. I did not ask for poetry. Enheduanna. Why don't we reference her a little bit? Deaths of armies and summoned monsters followed. In the end, Prince Arankana was victorious. He declared that life would sprout from so much death. It came to be that greenery grew. They had broken the earth. But the obscure was far from done. Opening a terrible passageway to material plane existence. The godlike being came to Varankana, where he stood exhausted from calling forth life. Give up, mortal. The never before seen obscurity rumbled. In her Grana's soul is mine, and her poetry in praise of me forevermore. And her poetry shall grace my dark halls forevermore. Else I will destroy you. Destroy. I always write that. Destroy you where you stand. Powerless. But Prince Varankana smiled, for the obscure had which one it is? Oh, I smiled through the pain and tears. Nay, Dark One, for you have already fallen into my trap. Thy gate was the trigger, and the life here the gate was the paintbrush. What was the brush? Now it shall cover thy canvas. Unmaking thee all time. And shocked, the obscure tried to flee, but it was already too late. The rot of the material plane had set in as fungus grew over its sink, an unchanging, immortal being. From the eternal shadow fell. Astral plane. dark form. And in changing, the god was unmade, as though it had never existed. Something like that, anyway. Okay, yeah. Let me at the ruin in the middle of the swamp. There still lies in the center of the swamp the ruins of the cities. The city that was destroyed. And that of Varankana himself. Both he and the god unmade, as though they had never existed. Return to this plane and wrote poems all to read. And wrote her poem and wrote the eulogy of her lost prince upon the ruins in the middle of the swamp. Once every 100 years, a void cap mushroom grows in that exact spot, as though the obscure to return. But he never will. But nothing undo the ritual of unmaking. Okay, we're on. There's that gnomish town nearby. Gnome town of Tonkmas. They say the nearby gnome town of Tonkmas has a version of the tale that is slightly different in some respects. But the gnomes there are reticent on the subject of the dead god. The dead god's graveyard on their doorstep. Perfect. That will be a fun little legend for the players to, well, for my druid to discover. I wonder if this could be what triggers her dream. It could be interesting. Oh, where's the next clue? Well, I guess Tonkmoss. Alrighty. Well, it's been a little over 2 hours. I think I'm going to stop for now. Because I'd like to get some sleep before work tomorrow. So I will see you folks later. Have a good night. Thank you for hanging out, man with no screen name. Thanks for your great puns, as always. Thank you to anybody who comes by and watches this later. You're awesome. Have good morning, afternoon, evening. Until next time. Bye-bye.